Hey class, welcome back. It's the Professor of Mess back with another video. Today's video will be the second installment of our You Crash Course trilogy, which will cover season 2 of the series. Before we begin, just a quick disclaimer that as always, this video will be filled with spoilers. So if you have not completed season 2 of You and would prefer to do so without spoilers, please feel free to pause this video and resume when you've had a chance to complete the season. Otherwise, grab your popcorn and your pencils, and let's begin. So with Beck dead and Candace back from the dead and on his ass, it looks like the world might be finally crashing down on old creepy Joe. It turns out novice serial killer Joe forgot to check Candace's vitals before trying to leave her for dead, and he had only knocked Candace out, not killed her when he hit her on the head with that rock. So she tries to go to the police, but without sufficient evidence, there wasn't much that they could do. So Candace tells Joe that she was about to just leave his ass alone and just be happy that she was still alive. But then one day she walked into the bookstore and found Beck's book and realized that this psychotic motherfucker was at it again and must be stopped.
This motherfucker is psychotic.
So as Candace is letting Joe know how she's about to fuck his whole damn existence up, he manages to trick her into letting him go to the bathroom. And he escapes out the window and jets off to LA, the last place Candace would think to look for him. Joe plans to start fresh with a new perspective and a new identity. The new identity that he chose, or shall I say stole, is this one right here, Will Bettelheim, or however the hell you say this name. Now Joe got this new identity from this dude that he met on the dark web. This dude had created a different identity for Joe, but then Joe decided, nah, I'd just rather take your identity instead. So he stole the Will Bettelheim identity from him, which he had in turn stolen from someone else. I guess these motherfuckers trying to become the damn inception of identity theft or some shit. Then Joe builds an all new damn Hell in a Cell version 2.0.
Hell in a Cell!
So the other Will can't tell nobody that neither one of their asses is actually the real Will. So Joe, or should I say Will, then found his ass a job working in the cafe section of one of those trendy grocery stores called a Navrin, which is actually Nirvana, spelled backwards. So anyway, at a Navrin, Joe meets a beautiful young woman who becomes the new object of his psychopathy, and her name is Love Quinn. Yeah, you heard me, her name is Love. And if that ain't bad enough, Love got a twin brother named 40. Yes, these ghetto-ass white folks name their children Love and 40. So y'all can't say shit else about the names black people choose for their children. Anyway, so Joe meets Love, and at first he hesitates about whether he should even approach her because he's really trying to change his life and start out fresh and leave his past crazy-ass creepy ways behind. But it turns out that fate just so happened to intervene and place this beautiful stranger in Joe's path purely by coincidence. Just kidding. You know this is Creepy Joe we talking about after all. So you know damn well Joe already knew exactly who this woman was, started stalking her, figured out where she worked, and finessed his way into getting a job there too. He also found out where Love lived and got an apartment across the street so he could get to peeping Tom on her ass. So a little background on Love. Love is a widow whose husband died from cancer a few years back, and she now manages the kitchen/bakery at a Navrin, which is owned by her family. Initially, Joe and Love strike up a friendship and really get to liking each other, but it turns out that the death of Beck and the reappearance of Candace has in fact changed Joe to some extent, at least temporarily. So although Joe has been up to his old tricks when it comes to getting close to Love and stalking her ass, he's still reeling over what he did to Beck, and he's convinced that it's best to keep his distance in order to avoid hurting Love as well. But baby, Miss Love is having none of it. She is thirsty as hell for some damn Poindexter peen, and this minkus looking ass goofball is just the nerd she want to get it from. Although she barely knows Joe, Love tells her friends that it's just something about this damn Iola Boylan looking ass motherfucker that got her sprung. Love tells Joe that she feels a special connection to him because she can see in his eyes that he's experienced a profound loss, just like the one she experienced with the death of her husband. But since Joe is still feeling skittish, they agree to just be friends for the time being. But don't worry, Joe still manages to sneak a pair of Love's drawers out of her apartment and creates a new crazy box to commemorate their newfound friendship. I mean, hey, he is still Creepy Joe after all. And I guess in order to cockblock himself, Joe begins semi-reluctantly striking up a friendship with 40, Love's perpetually unkempt twin brother, who is also the manager of a tavern. 40 is an emotionally unstable, recovering addict turned aspiring filmmaker who also appears to be about 3 days overdue for a damn shower at all times. Meanwhile, some dude named Jasper shows up to Joe's apartment looking for Will, which is the new identity Joe is currently using. Come to find out, the other Will owes Jasper $50,000, and neither one of these Wills have that kind of money right now. So Joe tells Jasper he needs some time to come up with the money, and Jasper cuts his damn finger off and tells him, okay, well, you got about 12 hours before this motherfucker gonna be too rotten for you to get it sewed back on. So you better put the pedal to the damn metal. Joe is distraught and highly pissed and don't know what to do about his finger. So imprisoned Will sends Joe Will to some whack-ass afternoon party looking for some dude named Rufus in the hopes that he will give him the $50,000. Joe doesn't manage to get the $50,000 from Rufus, but he does run into a famous comic named Hendy and Joe's neighbor and building manager, Delilah, who seems to be the only person in the room not kissing Hendy's ass. So Hendy and Delilah are like, what the fuck happened to your finger? And Joe was like, oh, I just had a little accident and cut my damn finger off. And so Hendy was like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. So I tell you what, go ahead on down to the hospital and ask for Dr. Henry and tell him we friends and Dr. Henry will hook you up. So LA must be wild as hell when you can walk into a party in the middle of the day with your damn finger cut off and people are just like, oh yeah, just go on down to the ER and tell him Henry sent you. Anyway, Joe meets up with Jasper in the storage facility where he's keeping the other Will and tells him, look, I ain't got your damn money, but I'm not even the damn real Will anyway. The real Will is this motherfucker right here in this cage, so why don't you take him and do whatever the fuck you want to do with him and leave me the hell alone. But Jasper don't give a damn. He pulls out his shank and he all like, look motherfucker, I don't give a fuck who you is. You better come off my damn 50 stacks or I'm gonna have me a damn fillet of nerd up in this bitch. But Super Nerd Joe is too quick for this big Mr. Belvedere looking ass motherfucker, and he grabs his shank, and it's game over. So then Joe grabs his finger from Mr. Belvedere old dead ass and books it on down to the hospital to get it sewed back on. So back to Delilah. Remember how I was telling you how tense things were at that party a couple days ago between her and Hendy? Well, in an instance of art imitating life, it turns out that when Delilah was 17, she was roofied and assaulted by Hendy, played by real-life scumbag Chris D'Elia. She tells Joe that Hendy's perverted ass has a history of doing this shit to underage girls, especially underage non-white strippers like Delilah was at the time, because he knows he has the clout and the privilege to get away with it. Complicating things further, Delilah also has a 15-year-old sister, Ellie, who is your typical smart-mouthed, rebellious, moody teen character. And just like her older sister and damn near everybody in LA, Ellie is an aspiring writer. As a result, Ellie has been befriended by Hendy's old ain't shit ass, supposedly for an internship, which increases the urgency for both Joe and Delilah to take this child predator piece of shit down. Now, Delilah is a journalist, and she's been wanting to do an expose on Hendy for a while now, but unfortunately none of his victims want to go on record. She had all but given up on the story until she found out that Ellie has been hanging out with Hendy. So now she has a renewed sense of determination to take Hendy's bitch ass down, and she tells Joe to just stay the hell out the way and let her handle it. But we know our boy Joe better than that. Super Nerd is on the case. So one night Joe schmoozes his way into a party at Hendy's house, but he runs into 40 on the way in, who's there to pitch his terrible ass script to Hendy. While Joe searches for and finds Hendy's laptop, 40 gets high and makes a complete ass out of himself. Now, Joe had wanted to remain inconspicuous, so he's tempted to leave 40's ass there. But he doesn't have the heart to do that, knowing how important 40 is to Love. So Joe texts Love to let her know what's going on, then he takes 40 home with him and puts him to bed. Then Joe goes into the next room and finally gives Love that minkus meat she's been craving, while 40 listens from the other room. So later, Ellie assures Delilah that she's no longer hanging out with Hendy because he drinks too much. But Joe confirms via Hendy's stolen laptop that this is not the case. In fact, Hendy has invited Ellie over to his house tomorrow to hang out with him and his friends once he gets back from out of town. So Joe knows he needs to act fast, so with the help of his kidnap victim slash tech wizard Will, Joe breaks into Hendy's house. Joe finds a box full of photos of unconscious teenage girls, including Delilah. So Joe takes the pics with him and slips them under Delilah's door for her story. But Delilah takes those photos to the cops and they tell her there's nothing they can really do since Hendy isn't in any of the photos himself and there's nothing identifiable in the photos that prove that they were even taken in his home. So Joe is like, oh, okay, motherfucker, I tried to do this the easy way, so now I'm about to have to really hulk my nerdy ass up and take care of business my damn self. So Joe breaks into Hendy's house again, and this time Hendy is at home, and he's waiting for Ellie, who arrives as scheduled. Ellie just wants to pitch her short story to Hendy, but this low-down son of a bitch tells her 15-year-old ass that it is absolutely uncivilized to discuss a pitch unless it's over a drink. Joe watches as this piece of shit pours himself a scotch and a watermelon / roofie juice cocktail for Ellie. But before Hendy can make his sorry ass way back into the other room, Joe makes a noise that distracts Hendy long enough for Joe to put an even stronger roofie dose in Hendy's drink. So Hendy goes back into the other room, and Hendy and Ellie both take the spiked drinks and pass the fuck out. But when Hendy awakens, he's tied up and at the mercy of a disguised super nerd Joe, who lets this piece of shit know that his time preying on young girls is over. Joe tries to get Hendy's confession on video, but Hendy starts playing all these mind games with Joe when he figures out that both of them have experienced traumatic childhoods. He basically tells Joe that they're both the same, Joe's no better than him, and he's never going to be able to escape his past no matter how hard he tries. Now, Joe is trying to change his life around, so Hendy saying this really upsets Joe and causes him to explode and remove his mask. Hendy recognizes Joe from the party, and then he makes a run for it. But, of course, Usain Bolt / Schwarzenegger Joe here catches up and accidentally throws Hendy down the stairs and kills him. I mean, this scrawny-ass motherfucker really is super nerd. I guess all them years lifting up all them books and shit and turned Joe's beanpole looking ass into damn Mighty Mouse. So remember how I was telling you in part 1 what a damn criminal mastermind Joe is? Not. Well, after crime boss Joe here inadvertently kills this scumbag Hendy, he then raises the stakes even further by accidentally bleeding onto the damn crime scene, which then gets smeared into Hendy's blood pool by one of them robot vacuums that has unfortunate timing. So Joe carefully cleans up the scene, stages it as a suicide? Okay, so I guess this must be one of them suicides where the victim gets so damn distraught that they decide to end it all by throwing themselves backwards down the damn stairs. Yeah, I guess that sounds about right for this sorry ass show. So anyway, Joe heads out only to get stopped by a cop for, of all things, jaywalking. But thankfully for Joe, it looks like these LA cops are no less useless than the ones he encountered back in New York. And he manages to convince this cop that the trash bag he's carrying in the middle of the night is just full of items he's planning to donate to Goodwill, including some expensive ass limited edition headphones, which he offers to the cops hoping that this will get him to leave him the hell alone. Well, somehow that works. So, having managed to miraculously take care of the Hendy situation, Joe decides to let Will out of his cage since he realizes he really can't start a new life with love unless he changes his ways for real. But just when it seems things are finally looking up for Joe, Candace finds his ass again, and now she's more pissed off than ever. After Joe escaped, Candace was scrolling through the blogs one day and stumbled across a pic of Forty and Will at that party at Hendy's house, the one where Forty got to acting a motherfucking fool. So Candace immediately booked her flight to LA, and instead of going to the cops or just pulling up on Joe's ass and squid gaming this motherfucker like she should have, she comes up with some elaborate scheme to seduce Forty's dumb ass by pretending to be a producer named Amy Adam. That's Adam with no S. Forty's old pea-brain ass fell for all of Candace / Amy's bullshit, and now she's able to enact her plan to stay close enough to Joe to rattle him, wait for him to fuck up, and give her some evidence she can actually take to the police. So Joe is like, you know what, I'm about sick of this bitch. I'm about to finish what I started in them damn woods that night and be done with her ass once and for all. So Joe finds out where Candace is staying and heads over there one night to take care of her ass the way he knows how to do best. However, Candace is actually 2 steps ahead of Joe, and she outside of his place waiting for him to leave so she can break in and find what she looking for. But then little does Candace know that Love's ass is 10 steps ahead of all you motherfuckers, and she's sitting up inside of Joe's apartment waiting on Candace's ass. So it turns out that Love had been suspicious of Candace since she first met her, so she hired a private investigator to check her out. Love confronts Candace with her real identity, and Candace confesses, but she also tells Love that the guy that she's been dating is also not who she thinks he is. Candace, or Amy, or whatever the fuck her name is, I can't keep up with all these fake names this season. But anyway, Candace/Amy warns Love that Will/Joe is extremely dangerous. He tried to kill Candace, he did kill his ex-girlfriend Beck, and now Candace tells Love that she is probably next. The next day, Love confronts Joe and he admits to not being Will, but he also tells Love that he only fled New York to get away from this crazy bitch Candace because she was stalking him, and that's why he had to change his name. He also denies killing Beck, and he said, I barely even knew Beck. Right, and this is just all some bullshit that Candace is coming up with to try to sabotage my relationship to get back at me. So Love seems to buy this bullshit, but she also breaks up with Joe anyway just because he's a big ass liar. So Love starts dating her deceased husband's BFF, Milo. And because apparently everybody got a damn screech fetish up in this motherfucker, Delilah get the fucking on Joe now. In fact, Delilah finds this white Urkel looking motherfucker so damn irresistible that they get caught fucking right in the middle of the damn street one night and they get taken down to the jailhouse. And it turns out Delilah also been fucking on that same dumbass cop from earlier, the one who bought Joe's bullshit the night of his murder. Well, yeah, so anyway, but he's jealous because she been fucking on Joe, so he's not gonna let them out. But thankfully, 40's family got pulled with the LAPD, so 40 makes a call and gets them released. But unfortunately for Joe, it turns out that this dumbass cop ain't quite as dumb as we thought. Okay, because he subsequently had a change of heart, and he tells Delilah that he thinks Joe might have had something to do with Hendy's death, which is now being investigated as a murder. At first, Delilah kind of just shrugs it off, but then she decides to take it upon herself to go snooping around Crazy Joe's apartment. Now, while Delilah is in there, she finds the key to Joe's storage unit, and if that ain't bad enough, she decides she want to go playing damn Sherlock Holmes, and she gonna go down to the storage unit. And then when she does that, she finds Joe's damn hell in the cell. But unfortunately for Delilah, Joe has had nanny cams installed in his house ever since Candace showed up. So he actually saw Delilah's ass when she went to his apartment and started snooping around. So he shows up at the storage facility, and you already know what that means.
Hell in a cell.
Yes, hell in a cell. Now, normally Joe might consider just killing Delilah's ass just to get it out the way, but he's actually trying to do things differently now. Okay, plus he knows how much Ellie depends on Delilah. So he tells Delilah, look, I'm gonna let you go once I've had a chance to get the fuck out of Dodge. So he buys these handcuffs that have a timer on them, and he sets the timer for 16 hours, which he thinks should be plenty of time for him to get his shit together and fuck off to Mexico. But then, just as Joe is about to drop off a love letter to Love at a Navern, telling her how much he loves her and just telling her goodbye, he runs into 40, who asks Joe, hey, can you take a quick look at this new script? And I'm getting ready to send it off to a big-time producer, and I just love the way you think, so I just want to get your feedback before I do that. So Joe's like, all right, I'll take a quick look. I'll give you 30 minutes. So he's looking at the script, and then as he's doing that, surprise, bitch, 2 dudes show up and kidnap Joe and 40 and take them to some fancy-ass hotel room and hold them there. But it turns out that it was all another scheme that 40 done set up to get Joe's help coming up with the all-new script. So it turns out that Amy/Candace was being messy as hell, so she put a bug in 40's ear and told him, you need to go ahead and adapt Beck's book into a screenplay. And he read the book and he loved the idea. So now he wants to do that, but he needs Joe's brain to help him come up with a complete script. So 40 pays some actors to kidnap them and pretend to hold them at gunpoint in the hotel room until they finish the script, because apparently this is how he feel like Toni Morrison used to do it.
I heard this is how Toni Morrison does it.
What?
She's like a very famous black chick who writes books.
I know who fucking Toni Morrison is. I highly doubt she writes at gunpoint.
Oh, no. I just meant that she writes in hotels.
So anyway, these guards have their passports and all this kind of shit, so Joe can't even try to sneak out and book it to Mexico. So really he has no other choice but to just play along. So in order to really get them creative juices flowing, 40 decides to spike both their drinks with LSD and they get to tripping their asses off. And then 40 suggests that they role play as Uncle Jesse and Beck so that 40 can really get inside Beck's head and write a script from her perspective. But of course, Joe is high as a damn kite on this acid, and not to mention he already crazy as hell. So he actually starts hearing Beck's voice and he starts choking the hell out of 40 because he thinks she Beck. But shockingly, for the first time in this series, I guess somebody finally managed to overpower damn super nerd Schwarzenegger Joe here, and so both 40 and Joe end up on the floor. So 40 says, look, we doing good here, we about to have a breakthrough, you just need some damn moon juice. And I don't even know what the fuck that is, but he said, go on down to damn Anavrin and get some moon juice. And Joe said, well, how the fuck I'm gonna do that when we being held at gunpoint? And so then that's when 40 lets him know, well, we actually have a safe word that you can give to the guards, and then you can go ahead on down to Anavrin and get you some damn moon juice. So Joe was like, motherfucker, you mean to tell me it's been a safe for all this damn time? Well, anyway, Joe don't care, so he jump up and he leaves. But then the next thing you know, he is standing at the damn sink washing blood off his hands. And he has no memory of what happened when he left that room. So he's thinking, shit, did I go and do something to Delilah while I was high on acid last night? So he asked 40 and the guard if he had blood on his hands when he came back to the room last night. And they both like, oh, what the fuck you talking about? Anybody have no damn blood in their hands up in here? And so basically they're just thinking he's still confused from his acid trip. In the meantime, 40 has actually made a lot of progress with his script, and he's managed to come up with a whole new plot twist, which is actually eerily similar to what really happened to Beck. Basically, he's created this new character, Hector, who is a jealous ex that is actually the one who killed Beck and framed Uncle Jesse. This freaks Joe out at first because he thinks that, oh shit, did he figure out that I'm the real killer here? But it turns out it's just a coincidence, and 40 actually has no idea what really happened to Beck. So now with the finished script and the acid almost out of his system, Joe books it over to the storage facility because there's only 1 hour left until Delilah's handcuff timer goes off. But unfortunately, when Joe arrives, his biggest fears are confirmed. He finds Delilah dead inside the cage. So Joe tries to retrace his steps and realizes he actually was with 40 at Anavrin last night. So he asks 40 what did they do after they left Anavrin, and 40 reluctantly admits that he dropped Joe off at the storage facility to see Delilah, and then 40 went off to smash Candace. So Joe is horrified since this seems to confirm that he is the one who killed Delilah. And also Joe is pissed off because how could 40 leave Joe alone to go fuck on Candace while Joe is standing there alone on a street corner out of his damn mind tripping on acid. So Joe storms off to go figure out what the hell to do with Delilah's body. Later, Candace comes over to see 40 and she's all excited because she read his script and she thinks he's figured out the truth about Joe. But 40 tells her he made a mistake and he didn't mean to fuck on her the other night, and they can't be doing that no more because Joe is his friend and he can't be doing Joe like that. And besides, the only reason 40 came to fuck on Candace last night was because he was lonely and Joe had left him to go have a booty call with Delilah. So Candace was like, you damn dummy, ain't nobody worried about fucking on you. I'm here to tell you you done cracked the damn case. Joe is not your damn friend, he a damn serial killer. Your script says it all. Joe is the one who killed Beck, not Uncle Jesse, you jackass. And he probably done something to Delilah now too. And if you don't stop him now, your sister gonna probably be next. But 40 ain't trying to hear all that. So Candace is like, look, I gotta get the fuck up out of here. I can't even deal with your stupid ass. So she storms out. But then later she realizes that 40 had done sent her a video last night right outside that storage facility where he dropped off Joe. So she now knows where Delilah is and she rushes over there to try to save her. But instead she walks in on Joe's ass having some weird ass conversation with Delilah's corpse. So Candace is like, gotcha bitch.
You going to jail? You going to jail?
Then Candace maces Joe's bitch ass and takes his phone and calls the police. Nah, I'm just fucking with y'all. So instead of making the logical move by calling the police to report this murder, Candace inexplicably uses Joe's phone to text Love to tell her to come over to the scene of the crime so she can see with her own eyes what a psychopath Joe is. So Love arrives, but she doesn't believe anything Candace is saying to her, despite the fact that Joe is sitting his ass up locked in the cage with Delilah's dead body. But then, in a shocking turn of events, Joe suddenly grows a conscience and confesses all his damn crimes to both Love and Candace, and just decides to accept his fate. Love is clearly overwhelmed and disturbed by this, and so she runs out of the storage facility, and Candace runs after her to try to console her. But surprise, bitch, it was all a scheme, and Love turns around and slashes Candace's damn throat. So Love goes back into the storage facility alone, and Joe's like, what the fuck, what the hell is Candace? So Love then tells Joe, surprise, bitch, I done killed Candace, and I'm also the one who killed Delilah's ass, not you. Apparently, Love followed Joe and 40 to the storage facility the night before, and after Joe left, Love came in, found Delilah's ass there, and knew she had to go. And it turns out this ain't the first time Love done killed a bitch trying to protect one of the men in her life. When Love was 13, she found out that they nanny was fucking on 40's old underage ass, so Love knocked 40 unconscious and then killed the bitch. And then she let 40 think he was the one who did it, since she knew that their parents would just coddle his ass, as they always did, and they would use their influence with the LAPD to cover everything up. It also turns out that Love been knowing all about Joe's ass. See, she had her private investigator follow his ass too, and then she read Beck's book, did all kind of research on Beck's murder, and she figured out that Joe was the one who killed Beck. Love even found this storage facility earlier, and she came in, took a damn tour and shit, and she didn't feel like nothing was wrong with it. She thought it was kind of cute. So Joe just sitting here in horror, just looking at this crazy bitch Love, like, bitch, hold up. I'm the only damn crazy motherfucker around here. You supposed to be angelic and perfect. And so Love is like, oh, the fucking irony. Are you really gonna sit here judging me, looking at me like I'm crazy while you sitting in the goddamn cage that you done built? So Love was like, look, motherfucker, I thought we could be honest with each other since both of us crazy as hell, both of us are around here killing motherfuckers, and I accept you for exactly who you are. Alright, so I just wanted us to be open and honest with each other, but apparently not. So I'm gonna leave your ass in this cage for a while until you get your shit together and we can figure out how we gonna proceed. So Love, she steps out for a bit, and then when she comes back to feed Joe's ass, Joe tricks Love into opening up the damn cage, and then he tries to kill her ass with Delilah's handcuffs. But before he could do that, Love dropped a bomb on his ass. She tells him that she's pregnant, and soon enough she'll be giving birth to a little crazy bitch junior. So this softens Joe's position, and he decides, okay, well, you know what? Yeah, we both crazy and everything, but this is actually a chance for both of us. Meanwhile, it turns out that 40 ain't quite as useless and dumb as we thought he was. He took what Candace said to heart, and he started doing his own research on theories online about how Uncle Jesse may be innocent and got set up. So 40 flies out to New York to visit Uncle Jesse in prison. And boy, Uncle Jesse looked terrible. They must be tearing his ass up in there. So 40 asks Uncle Jesse if he recognizes a picture of Joe, and Uncle Jesse perks up like, yeah, that's a little pipsqueak motherfucker that was coming all up in my office pretending to be somebody else. So 40 gets the confirmation he needed that Candace was right about Joe all along. And so 40 hightails it the fuck back to California to save the day. Then 40 texts Joe and tells him, look, motherfucker, I know all about what you did to Beck, so you better bring your ass on over to Annapolis right damn now. So Joe and Love both head over to the store, and Love tries to reason with 40, but he ain't trying to hear that bullshit. So Love throws a Hail Mary and tells 40, look, I'm pregnant, and if you kill Joe, I'm never going to talk to you again. I'm never going to let you see your nephew, and this shit's just going to be done. But 40 is unmoved, and he like, bitch, I don't give a fuck. Your ass is just as fucked up as I am, and any damn child you're bringing to this world is going to be fucked up too, with you as his damn mama and that sack of shit over there as his daddy. So 40 tells Joe, get on your knees, motherfucker. I'm about to kill you just the way I want to. But right as 40 is about to New Jack City this motherfucker, here come that same dumbass cop busting his useless ass up into the store, and he shoots 40. Now, 2 of the 3 motherfuckers standing in front of you are serial killers, and of course you somehow managed to shoot the only one that's not. Way to keep that streak going, asshole. So 40's ass is dead, and somehow the dumbass cops assumed that it was 40 who was responsible for Hendy's murder, and I have no fucking clue where the hell they would have gotten that bullshit from. But since 40 is dead and his family of course has the police in their pocket anyway, the cops just end the investigation, and once again inept ass Joe has managed to escape facing any kind of consequences for his bumbling ass crimes. And with Delilah gone, Ellie takes off to Florida, and Joe promises to send her money to help her, which he does. So Joe and Love move out to the suburbs to start a new life with the new baby. And the season ends with Joe looking lovingly at a smiling and very pregnant Love with one eye, while a new sexy neighbor who also seems to have an affinity for books catches his other good eye. So who is this new neighbor? Is Joe going to start stalking her ass too? And what's to become of Joe's new life as a family man? Well, you'll have to tune in to the final installment of this trilogy, Crash Course Season 3, to find out. Okay, class, so what have we learned? Well, lesson number 1, celebrities ain't shit either. Just because someone has talent, money, and or fame does not mean you should throw away common sense when dealing with them. Lesson number 2, trust your damn instincts and your loved ones. And I know, especially with some of you younger folks, it may seem sometimes like your older loved ones are being just overprotective, but a lot of times it's really because they know things and see things that you just may not be able to see yet. And to my grown folk viewers, have open and honest conversations with your children and your younger loved ones. That way they know exactly why you're giving them the advice that you're giving them, and that you're not just being unreasonable. Lesson number 3, instead of setting up a damn scheme, set your damn relationship up for success by being honest and straightforward with your partner. And finally, and most importantly, lesson number 4, don't be no low-down, sorry-ass bastard. Well, that's going to do it for today's session, class. I hope you enjoyed that and found this information useful. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you want to keep up with the professor and make sure you never miss a lecture, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you can get an alert each time I upload a new video. You can also follow me on IG, TikTok, and Twitter at Professor of Mess. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Class dismissed.